All right, so let's do now garbage removal. So the population of a city in the Northeast is given by PT equals 130 times 1 plus 12e to the minus 0.02 t, and then raised to the negative 1. So basically, this whole piece is in the denominator. It's 130 over that. Okay, and that's 1,000 people, where t is the number of years since 2000, and the number of garbage trucks needed by that city can be modeled as GP equals 2p minus 0.001 p to the third garbage trucks. And so if you think about it, what we're going to have to do is we're going to plug in p here to get out the number of garbage trucks. So it's going to look really something like g of p of t. Okay. And again, the p is the population of the city in thousands. And we're supposed to evaluate each expression in 2012, which is when? Well, that's when t equals 2. Okay. Well, all right. Well, that means for this one, all we need to do is we need to say p of 2. And we just plug in 2 here. So that's going to be 130 times 1 plus 12e to the minus 0.02 times 2, and then raised to the negative 1. Okay, so if we go to our calculator, and so this is just going to be a tedious process, we just have to type it in. So it's going to be the 130 times, and then it was going to be 1 plus, and that was 12e to the negative 0.02, and then times 2. Then we need to arrow down, and then parenthesis, and then 2, the negative 1. Okay, and hopefully that will give us an answer. So 10.376, I think, is what I'll use here. So that's going to be equal to 10.376, and that's going to be 1,000 people. Okay. Now, we need to do GP. Well, here we're going to plug in P for that. Well, P we needed as at t equals 2, and so at p equals t equals 2, that was that. And so we're actually going to plug in 10.376 here because P is going to be the population in the city in thousands that we have to plug into this equation. So we're just going to take G of 10.376. And so now we take 2 times 10.376 minus 0.001 times 10.376 cubed. So now we go to our calculator. And so we'll have the 2 times 10.376 parenthesis, and then we had the minus 0.12, then a 1, and then parenthesis 10.376 to the third. And I think I have that all typed in correctly. And so we get 19.635 if we use the full thing. Now, one thing to note is if we went back here and we went back here, and so we got that answer and we used that and we took 2 times the answer minus 0.001 times and then answer again. Oops, wrong button. Okay, enter. And so now we want to take 2 times answer and then minus 0.001 and then answer to the third. Did I do here? I probably should have that in parentheses is what it should be. But what it's going to be is we're going to, oh, that's right. I guess it is. I was thinking, oh, 10 and 19. Okay, so it does give us the right thing. And you notice here we get a 1, here we got a 9. So here we rounded that up to 5. Here we don't round it up. So using all the decimal places, which is what I was trying to show you, does change your answer. So I'm going to use the one with all the answers here, even though our answer for P of 2 is 10.376. I'm going to use this as 19.634 because that's going to be the more correct answer in this case for the number of garbage trucks needed. So that was 19.634 garbage trucks. Okay. All right. So the next one, I think what I'm going to do, I'll come back to this one because this one is going to be very complicated. And so I'll go, well, let's just do it. It's complicated because we're going to have to do more of that U substitution, okay? So our dp dt. So what do we need to do? Well, we have to think about what we're doing. So we're taking the derivative of this. So we need to write that down. So we have our pt is equal to 130 times 1 plus 12 e to the minus 0.02, and then it's a t into the negative 1. Okay, so that's our p, and we need to find p prime of t, and that's what we're looking for. But we can't just say, okay, well, we're taking the derivative of this. We're going to have to do the u substitution again. All right, so what I'm going to say is let's let u of t equal everything in here. So 1 plus 12 e to the minus 0.02 t, okay? And now that means what I can do is d, in this case now u, instead of the other, what I'm going to use, actually probably should put pu, but that's kind of silly, so let's do it anyway. That is now going to be, because we replaced t with u, so that's going to be 130, and then it's going to be u to the negative 1, okay? Now, with those two, can I actually take derivatives? Well, this one, yeah, I can take the derivative. Now, remember, when we do this, what I'm going to suggest is you think about this as an actual number. So if I plug in e to the negative 0.02, I get 0.9802. So I'm going to rewrite this for just the sake here as 12 times, and then I'm going to have the 0.9802, and that's to the t. Okay, so I've kind of replaced this whole thing because we can't really take e to a negative 0.02 t. We'd have to do another u substitution at this point, but I only want to do the one. And so I'm going to cheat and put it as a decimal place, because then I can use the exponential derivative easily with this one. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, well, now let's find u prime of t, and I'm going to find p prime of u. Well, p prime's easy. That's going to be a negative 130 u to the negative 2, because I'm going to bring that down times this and then subtract 1. And so when you take a negative 1 times 130, you get negative 130, and a negative 1 minus 1 is minus 2. So that was pretty easy. This one's not too hard either. Now take the derivative of 1 is 0. And then I'm going to have this. And so that's going to be 12 times the ln, and now I'm not going to put this, I'm going to go ahead and put that back in. So I'm kind of substituting and then unsubstituting. And so that's going to be e to the minus 0.02. And then, so that's probably, maybe I should put that in parentheses. And then what's left over is I just have the e to the minus 0.02 t. Okay, so I've got three kind of terms here for u prime. All right. Now, what am I going to do now? So now I have to take, and to get the derivative, I'm going to have to basically go through and do all the pieces here. So I'm going to take the u prime times the p prime to get the, well, the u prime of t times the p prime of u to get the p prime of t. So it's kind of looking at it there, we're taking the p prime of u of t, and I'm doing all those kind of together, and so I have to take the derivative times the derivative. And so when I do that, I have, if I put the p first, I'm going to have a negative 130 u to the negative 2, and then times that 12 times the ln e to the minus 0.02, and then times the e to the minus 0.02 t. And so now, and then in parentheses, since I put one here, now I have all that. Now, what does that give me? Well, I have t, which is good, but I've got this u still. and I need it in terms of t. And so my p prime of t now is negative 130 times, well, u, that is this whole piece here. So it's going to be 1 plus 12 e to the minus 0.02 t, and that's to the minus 2. And then I have times 12 times the ln of e to the minus 0.02, no t there, and then parenthesis e to the minus 0.02 t in parentheses. So I've got that. And so I believe that gives me everything I need. And now it said I wanted to evaluate it always at t equals 2. So now I need to plug a 2 in to this long thing to get that derivative, so the change there, okay? And so p prime of 2 is equal to negative 130 times 1 plus 12 e to the minus 0.02 times maybe 2 like that to the negative 2, and then times 12 ln e to the minus 0.02, and then we'll put that in parentheses, and then e to the minus 0.02 times 2 in parentheses. So now we got to go back to our calculator and type in that whole mess. So this is just effort in making sure we can type all the right parentheses. All right, so we had a negative 130 times, then we had 1 plus 12 e to the negative 0.02 times 2. Now I need to arrow down, and then in parentheses, that one, first one is raised to the negative 2 power, arrow down again. And then I had the other part of the derivative, so then it was times, and then I had 12, then I had ln of e to the negative 0.02, arrow down in parenthesis, and then times, and then I had e to the negative 0.02 times 2, arrow down in parenthesis, and I'm hoping I have everything correct. Okay, so I get 0.191 roughly, and that's what I'll use anyway. So that gives me, let's see, it was 0.191, and that was 1,000 people per year now. So that's what, this is a rate, so it's changing. So my original P was 1,000 people, and then it's going to be over T years, so it's 0.191 thousand people per year. Okay, so that is going to be the hardest part of this whole problem, actually. Now, the next one, now we need DGDP. So if we go back, that means I need to take the derivative of this. So if I write that derivative down, I write that thing down, it's G of P was equal to, I believe, 2P minus 0.001 P to the third. So this now is going to be at p equals 10.376. And so I need to find that derivative. So g prime of p is equal to 2 minus 0.003 p squared. So again, all I did was take the 1 times 2 and got 2. That's going to be p to the 0, so that's gone. And then I bring the 3 down times that, so it's going to be 0.003. Then it becomes a 2. And so when I plug that in, that's going to be 2 minus 0.003 times 10.376 squared. And so if I plug that into the calculator, I have 2 minus 0.003 and then times 10.3, what was it, 76, and that's now squared. So I get 1.677. So that's going to be equal to 1.677, and it was garbage trucks, and it was per 1,000 people. Okay, so now that's that. And now my dg dt, and again, it's going to be at t is equal to 2. That's just going to be this one at 2 times this one, okay? So now I'm just going to say, okay, well, that's going to be equal to, and I just multiply those two together, and so I'll have the 1.677 garbage trucks per 1,000 people times, and over here I had 0.191 thousand, so I had times 0.191 thousand people per, and that was year, I believe, yeah, per year. And so if I multiply those two together, and we are going to get, now technically I should take and use both of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here to the larger one, and then I have that, and then I'm going to take that times, and then I'll have 2 minus 0.003 times 10.376, and that's going to be squared, and then in parentheses, and hopefully with those two numbers together, I'll get the correct answer. So I need 3.320, and so that's going to be 0.320 garbage trucks. And because remember here, 1,000 people, and then it's going to be per year. Okay, and so that would be my dg dt when t is equal to 2. Okay, so those last two, pretty easy, just plugging in numbers in your calculator. This one, that's going back to the use substitution, and it's a little bit harder. And then those two back to just simple adding things. So practicing use substitution, I think, is going to be a good thing. So we'll work on that. And that's all I have for now. I'll come back in a second.